Hi, this is Baldur 1975 and welcome to Nypsy Does Honor Mode episode 7, so Baldur's Gate 3, Honor Mode straight up, and this is me exposing Kagha for her evil shadow druid ways. So we made our way through to the swamplands. This does mean coming here that we've lost access now to Auntie Ethel at the Grove, so I've stacked up quite a few potions of giant strength. It's always good to stock up before you come here because it is a pain that you lose access, and until you go to the Myconid colony to get access to more, you won't be able to stock up for a while. This fight's fairly annoying. The Mud Mephits, a good thing to do, which is I don't think I do much of in this fight, is actually throw them at each other, because that way they pop and blow up away from you, which isn't a bad move. They're a bit of a pain in the butt, but instead I don't really do that in this. I just get Lizelle in the center of things, get her charged up with some lightning charges, and then look to do some damage with as much as possible, because polearm masters are pretty useful for killing things further away from them, and battlefield control. Between the two girls, Lizelle and Karlach, I've got plenty of damage dealing, and with me and Shadowheart supporting, they're going to be buffed up to the nines. So that's generally the plan moving forward. Nypsy is not, well, Nypsy is a full caster being a bard, but not like going to be checking out a lot of big powerful kill everything spells, fireballs, that sort of thing. It's more battlefield control spells like hypnotic pattern, hold person, those sort of spells, which I find personally I prefer using in D&D. As much as I like sorcerers and wizards, just fireballing everything can get pretty dull pretty quickly. I don't know why Lizelle was having so much trouble in this fight. I maybe should have blessed beforehand, I don't know, but ultimately Shadowheart can do pretty well. I was looking at fireball in these, but her percentage on hits with that spell is so bad. You should always unless you're playing a modded version with better spells for her, you should only just use her fire spell to ignite barrels and containers, not anything else. It's pretty rancidly useless. This is a good way of dealing with these guys, is blast them away from you, so when if they die, they're further away, so you don't die from the mud splatter. That's that works. Being made muddy and dying from the mud splatter can be a real pain in the butt. And trying to ignite these guys it's a reasonable strategy, but with the mud and everything, I was debating what to do, and I thought it's best to kill the Mephit as much as possible. It did unfortunately blow one of the other ones up, but that's the way it goes. You've got to kill them, and you are going to take some damage and splatter from the others. Later on, summoning methods is a really good strategy for bogging down the opponent, because they're very annoying small firing creatures that they're not as bad as you think. They usually have a spray attack or an ice attack or something that's really good at bogging down the opponent. That's what I particularly like about them. They are very, very useful for being annoying. Here it's worth taking the attack of opportunity, and then just seeing if you can again try and take things out without letting them blow up in your face. That was the plan, at least. It didn't really work that well on this occasion, but having to deal with as least amount of splashdown as possible when it comes to Mephits. Those things, they're tanky. They are really, when they finally get into combat, they really do hurt, so you want to take them out of the wood walls as quickly as possible. One of the most powerful things, OP things about druids, is the fact that you can summon a dryad that can summon one of those. Yeah, druids are way OP in Baldur's Gate 3, because you can be in the shape of a bear smashing things up with your Tavern Brawler bear, while concentrating on a spell like Spike Growth, while having a dryad out that can cast another Spike Growth, while having a woodwild out that can smack crap out of things. Yeah, it's pretty effective. druids are really good until really extreme late level. Then they lack a little bit right at the top end, but not that you'd notice, to be honest. Once you can turn into a giant owlbear and start crushing things, it doesn't really hurt you too much. Here I was just looking at different things to do because of my, unfortunately I'm all muddy at the moment, so it's going to affect my abilities. But removing attack of opportunity from that character then frees up this one to go try and smash some stuff, but it didn't work out how I wanted. And yeah, it was a lot of misses. I should have blessed before this fight started. I normally rely on the healing I have to do to then bless and blade ward everyone. That's part of the reason. Well, later on, at the moment I haven't got all of the stuff that I need for the build, but I'm working towards a build where Shadowheart basically, when she heals you, she gives extra hit points, she blesses, and she does blade ward, which is, I think, really useful, super handy. Lizelle takes the full brunt of being mudded up before she can wander off. This is one of those fights where oddly you can get yourself into trouble by killing the enemy, and if you take it on early it can be tricky, but ultimately it's not particularly taxing. I would recommend trying to get as many people as possible to the stone century bit as quickly as possible to take the fight to the Mephits, rather than letting them trap you in the corner, because then you tend to get hit more by them. Unfortunately, setting fire to everything is a really good way of dealing with them, but it also doesn't particularly help you in a lot of ways. It's because you're damaging your own people to do damage to the enemy, which is kind of annoying, but that's the way it goes. I decided to leave the Raven out of this fight because of all the splashback damage and the fact that I'm probably going to set fire to stuff soon. Not ideal situation for the Raven to be in, and yeah, I did. So I did start doing some throw these at these, which, like I say, helps remove them doing damage to you. Yeah, it's kind of, I didn't want to waste the bomb. I really didn't. And I was like, it's not ideal this, because it's going to set fire to two of my characters, but it is useful to take them out when you can at distance from most of your characters. And yeah, that worked pretty well for me. In fact, like, what I should have done, what I realised I should have done and did, is I should be precision striking a lot more because of the difficulty to hit and the conditions that are affecting me. It's, like I say, it's one of those fights, it's not that difficult, but it is really stupidly annoying. Yeah, they keep trying casting Tangle, but now the ground's on fire, that's not going to happen for them, which kind of helps because it stops them healing, etc. You know, I probably shouldn't be wasting my bardic inspirations on those sort of attacks from these guys. I should be really saving that for the wolves, because the wolves are the ones that do the damage. Now it's a case of getting my people that are on fire out of the fire, because let's face it, standing in fire is probably not a great idea. It's certainly something that you kind of advantageous to avoid fire. One of the biggest tips in most MMOs is if you're standing on fire, move. Yeah, it's amazing how much damage those persistent effects will do to you, and yeah, just a little shuffle out of the flames is not a bad idea. And again, I don't know why, the conditions and the mud and the effects are really struggling, making me struggle and do stuff, but it is quite fun throwing stuff around still, even if I am really struggling on the percentages to hit at the moment. So yeah, it wasn't that helpful, but using splash damage and alchemist fire is probably not a bad idea. If you're suffering with really bad hit penalties, it's not a bad idea to see what your best options are, shop around, look for as much percentage as you can, you know, go with what you can hit. Now, if you missed it earlier, the reason I'm down here is because Kagha, the grove, you find a message in the chest that basically that she's in league with shadow druids. You come down here, get the evidence against her, and then you can use that to flip the grove to stop the tieflings being kicked out and stop the grove being closed off. It's quite a handy little quest line to get done as quickly as possible. But like I say, you don't want to rush down here too quickly because it closes off access to Auntie Ethel in the grove, and you want to stock up on as many giant strength potions as you can. It's one of those things. It's a good quest line to get done reasonably early. Now, when you come to face Kagha, there are many different options. Killing her is more challenging because she has a lot of hit points and she's quite tough, and she's pretty brutal, as you'll see when we get to that bit. However, if you do kill her, you do get a powerful item, which means when someone's healed, they start dealing poison damage, which works really well on Lizelle, being a polearm master and reaching out and touching people. Any little damage buffs, Lizelle suddenly, when you stack up loads of different types of damage with Lizelle, she becomes incredibly more effective. Especially as she does less damage. Karlach's just like a blunt instrument with Great Weapon Master and throwing. She's just going to either smack things very hard with the Great Weapon Master or throw things at things using Tavern Brawler Thrower. This makes her incredibly damaging. However, at the level she's at now, sometimes she does need a boost to hit. Lizelle is going to be much more of a precise instrument, so any damage buff she can get is greatly appreciated. I do like using that spell. It's incredibly powerful. Cause Wounds is actually one of the most underrated spells. It's incredibly damaging, one of the most damaging spells in the game in melee combat. It's incredible. I would highly recommend it. Also, Shock and Grasp is incredibly useful. It takes away their reaction, so you can walk in, Shock and Grasp, walk out. I should have done that there and then fired when I wasn't in combat, so I wasn't at disadvantage, but that's me being lazy. And I actually wanted to leave Nypsy in combat to give her a different target to go for, because, you know, Nypsy hasn't been hit much in this fight, so she can take the damage. I actually was checking because I thought I had a different hammer equipped, but I'm using the Doom hammer, which has chilled touch. I thought I was using the one that, you know, causes knockdown, but I don't actually get that yet. I can't even remember where I get that from. There's one that causes knockdown. Unfortunately, there's one that's the Thunder Hammer. You do extra damage when you jump. I can't get that to work for me. It doesn't seem to work. I jump about all the time and it doesn't seem to do it, which is a shame. But yeah, I like doing bludgeoning damage with my Barbarian because it's one of those damage types. Magical bludgeoning damage is very rarely resisted. It's a rare damage type that's really useful. Also, there's a couple of feats that really help out, you know, just generally help out hitting stuff. So yeah, I like to use bludgeoning damage. I think it makes a decent difference. At the moment I'm still, you know, using Bless and Bardic Inspiration to increase chances to hit. I like the fact I've got Tenacity on the go. That helps, because the hit chances are absolutely abysmal in this fight. Yeah, hopefully they improve as we go up levels, but at the moment, yeah, it's a bit difficult. And then I get smacked for that massive crit hit, which is just not very friendly. So back to Sacred Flaming from her, and like I say, yeah, it's just becoming a bit of a grind, this fight, grinding it down. And yeah, that big hit did not do me any favors, but you know, a bit of Magic Missile never hurt anyone because it's guaranteed hits. And I thought I'd be smart and spread the damage out, and I unfortunately, yeah, didn't roll as well as I thought I would. So, you know, a little bit less damage than I was hoping for, which admittedly I didn't realise I hadn't got any melee weapons equipped, so and punching in this situation is not going to do anything. So I'm now down to a 5% hit chance. I should have fueled her up with a coin before the day started, but yeah, Tenacity will eventually do me a favour. And like I say, this fight can be a bit of a slog. It's quite handy that, you know, I've still got someone with a decent percentage hit chance in Lizelle. So we've got the note, we headed back to the Grove, and this time I did bless before this fight, because this, like I say, the way I'm going to do it is actually kill Kagha, because I want the necklace that adds damage, poison damage, after you've been healed. I didn't waste time messing around with the rats too much. Probably shouldn't have done this at all, because yeah, I got bless on and it is limited time. And yeah, this unfortunately means Nypsy is stood right in front of the Shadow Druids at the start of this fight, which is probably not a good place to stand. And yeah, I probably shouldn't have put the rest of them bunched together. I should have probably spread them out a bit. However, with Longstrider and their base movement, the girls are pretty quick at getting around the battlefield, and I kind of wanted to start them on the higher ground just in case I wanted to go range and just start throwing stuff at people. However, I feared Kagha because she does this Moonbeam spell, which is super annoying, and you got to just avoid it. It's incredibly damaging. One of the things that we'll be looking to do is knock stuff down, and then take advantage of the fact that when it's prone, it can't pass dexterity saving throws. That's a key thing that I'll be looking to do. Kagha is incredibly strong at this level, so really want to plow into her as quickly as possible, do as much damage as possible, and yeah, she's going to be my main focus. And also the Raven is actually, it's okay and useful at this level for just drawing attacks, and you know, helps keep things at bay. But yeah, I didn't appreciate the Moonbeam doing damage like that, but you know, it is what it is. Get Karlach raging, get her in there, get her fighting. That's what she does best. And with an 80% hit chance, of course, she's probably not going to do a lot. But good, you know, a bit of damage and some bone chill. Stops Kagha healing, which is a good thing. And yeah, so now it's up to Lizelle. Now I would say with D&D, one of the things to do is to literally try and take stuff out as quickly as possible. It's one of the absolute key things in D&D. Like I say, action economy is everything in D&D, so the more damage you can do your opponent before they do damage to you, if you can take their attacks off the battlefield, then that's what you want to do. You want to focus stuff down, remove it as quickly as possible. Unfortunately, you know, initiative order does sometimes dictate how things go, but ultimately you want to try and remove their actions before they can do very much. And yeah, this worked out for me. I did decide here, I'm torn a little bit, but I didn't want to all cluster up, because Kagha is going to absolutely and utterly decimate with a Moonbeam in that area, because you just know she is if she survives this. And yeah, I probably shouldn't have tried to get everyone involved. I do try my best to keep the wolf alive, but like I say, some of the stuff that happens is a bit annoying, but that's the way it goes. You can't win every fight, and sometimes things get lucky or unlucky. And I mean, 11 hit points. Maybe I should have gone for the cures wounds or something more damaging to try and take her out before she got an opportunity. I don't know. It's one of them. I could have, should have, would have. But then the critical hit entanglement arrows come in, and then the Moonbeam, and yeah, stuff dies, and that's not a lot I could do about that. I did heal the wolf to try and stop that happening, but unfortunately I kind of thought the way that she was nearly dead, it was going to bite me. I should have killed her in one, and unfortunately Nypsy went down, and so did the wolf, which yeah, was not what I wanted. I was debating what to do here, as whether to throw something or not throw something. The throw attack is pretty damaging, so it's just about picking the right weapon to throw with and the right target to throw at, because it will knock them prone and do a decent amount of damage. And then yeah, I was actually really annoyed the wolf died, and all the times I've done this fight the wolf hasn't died, and the one time I do it to record for YouTube is when the wolf dies, which I was quite annoyed about. So I like that wolf. Now it's just a matter of, because the druids will wild shape if you let them, so you just want to try and, like I say, take their attacks off the battlefield as quickly as possible, remove their options, and now Kagha's dead, the battle is pretty much over. Unfortunately, Nypsy taking that much damage was annoying. Now, oddly, in terms of action economy and healing, when one of your party is knocked down, the best thing to do is actually not to heal them up lows, but just to use low level healing spells to keep them bouncing up and down, because when you get knocked down you get a 0, and if you try and put them above what one hit would put them back down, you're just going to keep bouncing up and down anyway. If someone's on like 4 hit points and you cure them up to 8 or 10, and they get knocked down again, you've just wasted that heal spell, so you may as well wait till they're knocked down and heal them back up. It sounds counterintuitive, but it actually works out better, is because at this point she's just drawing fire, so keeping her just bouncing up and down means that she's drawing fire away from these guys, while these guys do the majority of the damage. It is frustrating, but when you're early level, taking a critical hit can have a huge swing on your health, and there's not much you can do about it. She's armor class, I think 15 with shield, 20, and I didn't get the chance to shield, so the hit was big enough that it was going to hit anyway. Plus, handily, the NPCs in a lot of fights will assist you. I was a bit annoyed the wolf died in this fight. I've never had him die in the fight before, but it was just Kagha and an indiscriminate use of that damn spell. There's not much you can do about the moonbeam. It is a very powerful spell at this level, and she's pretty indiscriminate with it in this fight. I've had issues with her using it even when she's been on my side in this fight, so it doesn't help when she's against me. She is the hardest hitting thing in this battle, so taking her out as quickly as I did was handy, but just not quite quick enough. And that staff, I think, is well underrated early levels, especially for Shadowheart, because if you can give Shadowheart a bit of assistance, she can hit with that, which then you stack up the advantages. So blinded, that gives her advantage, she entangles, that gives the next person advantage, and bush, something's dead. And you just keep stacking those advantages up. And that's the way that, you roll through combat, using advantage after advantage to just keep doing as much damage as possible. Now, with the way I've got the girls set up at this level, I've got many different ways to pass on advantage. Entangle, blind, knock down from Karlach's throwing stuff, knock down from Lae'zel's speciality attacks, you've got disarming attacks, anything that can grant advantage or make fights go quicker is very, very useful at this level. Now, once you finish this fight, as well as getting the juicy item from Kagha's body, I also get these Hellraiser gloves, which now means when Shadowheart heals, she blesses and gives people Blade Ward, which is huge. This build as the Life Cleric becomes very, very potent very, very quickly, and only gets better as you go up levels. The girls have a falling out because of the artifact, and always fun. Shadowheart and Lae'zel have some of the best conversations in this game. If you keep them in your party wandering around, they just argue constantly and be at each other's throats. It's some of the most hilarious dialogue in the game, and being able to talk Shadowheart out of killing Lae'zel is luckily very easy when you're a bard. Persuasion checks are kind of your raison d'etre as a bard, as you can see. The amount of pluses you get as a bard is huge. But keeping the girls in line and keeping the party together at this point is, very beneficial for me, because it's the party I want to run. And Shadowheart will they'll all get more powerful. Now here I'm going to do something mingy. I've had some tadpole effects. I will at some point take you through my character builds, but I've got the tadpole effect, which means if I'm concentrating on a spell, I can do psychic damage. So I whack guidance on before jumping into combat. In tabletop 5e, guidance actually adds to your initiative roll. I don't think it does in Baldur's Gate 3, which is a shame, but it does in 5e. If you cast guidance before going into combat, you get an advantage on your, you get an extra d4 on your initiative, which is really super handy at early level. Now here I'm looking to obviously blind, so then everyone gets advantage on ranged attacks, which is super helpful. The Raven and Gloomstalker Ranger build would be just ridiculously potently powerful early level. Any sort of rogue sneak attack, because your sneak attack triggers off the Raven as well. So having the Raven be able to fly in and do damage is pretty good. But here I'm using the Illithid powers to do a decent amount of damage by using the concentration off that. That's 11 hit points, and then I did 9 more with the crossbow. 20 hit point damage this early on in the fight. It's pretty decent damage from what ostensibly is just a bard. You know, that's not bad at all. Here I probably should have raged before I threw, just for the extra damage. But yeah, that's my mistake. That would have probably killed that off without having an attack at all. So that was a real dumb move, and I should have finished off with the Zell, to be honest. I try and outthink it with a Zell and try and take another one and out combat for a bit, because the Raven's tying that one up. And yeah, I've got 2 potential shots with a Zell, and instead I waste shooting at stuff I've got disadvantage against as uphill. I shouldn't have done it, but I mean, 55% is 55%. They're not impossible shots. And the main thing with Azelle is to protect the boy. But yeah, she lets me down. But she's not the greatest archer in the game. She's not the highest dexterity in the game. She gets better later level, but obviously I'm not using her as primarily an archer. She's mostly going to be a fighting character, a melee character, not a ranged character at all. But that was a real waste of her turn. I should have just killed the one on the ground and taken it out of the action. Here I should have probably gone for the Entangle Staff rather than the electricity, but you know, Shock and Grasp is kind of my go-to because it robs them of a reaction. But yeah, I should have thought about it, and I should have gone for Entangling just to keep it by me and make it easier for the boy to run past. But ultimately, I'm not too worried. This fight's going in my favour and going well. One of the things, my Raven isn't the easiest to hit because I do Mage Armour on my Raven. Yeah, Mage Armouring and Blessing a Raven makes it incredibly effective. But yeah, and it's a useful thing. It's way more useful a Raven familiar in Baldur's Gate 3 than it is in D&D 5e, because in D&D 5e your familiars can't attack. They can only do the help action, which is, you know, if they can attack, they're way more useful. I think Warlock familiars can attack, and yeah, there are ways of getting stuff to attack, but I mean, ultimately, familiars are quite useful low level, but they don't scale up, which is a bit of a shame. Though they are still useful later level, and there are ways of healing them, making them more durable with aid and stuff like that. I tell you, aid is another spell. I wish it worked in Tabletop 5e as it does in Baldur's Gate, because in Baldur's Gate it lasts till a long rest and does unlimited party members and summonses, which is ridiculously powerful. In Tabletop 5e it doesn't do anywhere near that. It does 3 characters for 8 hours, which is way weaker. And I'm currently in a party of 4 players and 1 NPC, so to aid everyone in the party you have to do it twice, and you know, and aid is one of those spells you want to be upcasting because it's 5 hit points at level 1 and it goes up 5 per level, so it starts getting really good in the later levels, which of course is fine until you're casting 2 high level spells at the start of the day or close to the start of the day, and then you're just short spells for the rest of the day. It's one of those things. It works way better in Baldur's Gate, but there's a lot of stuff like that. I'm going to leave it there and say that's all. Thank you very much for watching. I'll leave you with a little bit of dialogue. One of my favourite dialogue options is you get to show off to the children if you're a bard. That's just one of the things I like in Baldur's Gate 3. I say that's all. Thanks for watching.
Are they gone? Who are you?
What